What were you doing in August and September? We were playing board games, but which ones?
Hi, I'm Libby, this is Julian, we are BoxedMeeples. You can of course find us here on YouTube, but also on Instagram and Twitter. And at the moment we're going to give you a rundown of our September games, but because we missed August, because we were away on holiday, we thought we could give you a rundown of those too.
It's going to be a double bill, twice as much for your money.
We have had a busy time, so we haven't had as many new games as we might normally, so I think combining them, it's not going to be...
No, it's I think normally I kind of guess how many we've done here, and I don't think. Yeah. I think across those 2 months we've probably done as much as we have in a previous month because we have been away, so we weren't playing as many board games. Yeah,
exactly that. So August, I think we only have about 8. So
that is low for us.
That is about half of what we would normally have at least. So we'll just run through the ones that are new to us, or any that are particularly.
Or noteworthy ones.
So first on the list of new to us is, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Gulo Guloo.
Yes. So we had we had friends over for a games night, and he said he'd bring some kind of children friendly games for my daughters to play, so he brought Hey That's My Fish, which I had already played with them.
Yes.
And Gulo Guloo. So it's like an inversed kind of version of Kaplunk.
Yeah, you've got all these sort of eggy kind of coloured things in the bowl, and there's this stick that you're kind of trying to keep upright and in the bowl, and as you move out the eggs it sort of wibbles around and it's precariously kind of on the edge of the bowl, and then all of a sudden it's off, it's out.
So you roll a dice and you move down a kind of customised track to the next available one of that colour, and then you have to pluck an egg that matches, and then once you get to the end of the track you have the grand finale. We have to draw 3 eggs to win the game, and they really enjoyed it. What was really impressive is my youngest daughter then has obviously learnt through kind of just osmosis by being around us playing games, and started making different games based on the tiles and the eggs, and one was like this elaborate kind of worker placement style game and resource management game. So I think she engineered a game that she preferred to the kind of dexterity one, but they did really enjoy playing the kind of dexterity egg clutching one. So,
they did, yeah. And I think it'll be one that we'll get out again with them on varying occasions. They're having a lot of fun with that.
They'd enjoy it,
That was good. We also have Hail Hydra. So a Marvel style game. I think you got it very cheap because it was, we've been playing some social deduction games in our one of our gaming groups towards the end of the night. And you thought, I think we played Blood on the Clock Tower, we've played Secret Hitler, we've played, Avalon, several others. So it was kind of
let's get it.
Compare the difference.
Tom Vassell speaks very highly of it. I think at one point he said it's his favourite social deduction game, but I don't quite know when that was and what's been released since. It was okay for less than $5. I think I paid for it.
But I mean,
from a bizarre toy shop. It was super cheap. The people we played it with we played it twice, and one group of players did kind of pick apart the game a little bit because the rules say to not use player powers, not use boss powers in your first game. So we didn't, and that led to people just having to pick based on very little. Who was the Hydra agents, and it fell apart quite quickly.
I didn't play that game. I played the game where we did play the player powers, which I think was actually prior to that game, bizarrely. And I think that I couldn't imagine not using those.
It was very limited. So despite what the rules say, if you do play Hail Hydra, and I'd recommend it, it's quite a good social deduction game. Very simple, really. Mixes kind of mechanics you can see in other games with the Resistance, who are kind of going out and trying to stop a villain from destroying, I think it's New York City and the Avengers Tower, things like that. Despite what the rules say, use all of the player abilities, chuck everything in. I think the reason we didn't was because I had to explain it quite quickly. I think we had sort of 20 minutes, and someone said, "You've got that Marvel game, could we play that?" It's okay, but social deduction's never really going to be my favourite type of game.
Mine either. So yeah, I enjoy it, and I the theme sort of adds that little bit extra for me because I do like that sort of Marvel things, but yeah, social deduction is not my favourite style. So
for me, it needs to be embedded in another game, so it needs to not be the focus. I mean, I love Nemesis,
the traitor mechanisms and things like that. Yeah, I'm a little bit further off of those.
I really enjoy those, but when it's a case of, you know, all discussing who the traitor is and that being the main event, that's not really my kind of thing. Not that I don't enjoy that party atmosphere, it's just when I'm in that kind of party mode, I want to be playing more party games rather than accusational games. I guess it depends on the player group, but they have their time and place. But.
It does, yeah. No, I liked it. I definitely would like to play it again and get to grips with it a bit more. So, given the right situation. One that I wasn't sure I was going to like, but absolutely loved. It's one that I looked at on Kickstarter and thought, oh, it looks amazing. But when it comes to the gameplay, am I going to like it enough for the price tag? And our friend brought it over to play it with us. It's Foundations of Rome. And I absolutely loved it. I mean, for starters, those buildings are incredible.
Yes.
Incredible.
It's a really lavish production.
I just kind of thought, essentially you're sort of putting polyominoes down and things like that. But the whole mechanism of picking the sort of card for the space square that you want, and then you're sort of sat there thinking, please don't take that card, please don't take that card, I just need that card. And someone goes and takes that card exactly before it gets to your turn, or it comes up finally and you don't have any money, and it's like, no, how has this happened?
It wasn't the game I was expecting. I thought it was going to be more, you know, more fighting over, you know, Rome was built on blood, let's go to war. It wasn't. It's a puzzly game. It's a good one, and we barely scratched the surface of it. We only played...
Oh yeah, there's so much to add to that.
Yeah, we just played the base mode, and there's lots to it. So I'm keen to play it again. I'm pleased you didn't back it, because it's huge.
I mean, it takes up an entire Kallax. A whole section.
That's all you're going to get on there. Super quick to set up. Those player trays are great.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, really good insert. Really good buildings. Yeah, it was incredible production, and I really enjoyed the game a lot more than I thought that I was going to for that style of game. So,
that's why it was your game of month for the August.
It was. Yes, it was. Next on the list might have been your game of the month, I think. Lords of Vegas.
It was my game of the month.
Yeah, that was fun. Very thematic.
So we were gifted a subscription to Rent, Shuffle and Roll, and we were allowed to pick 3 games as part of that monthly subscription. And when I saw they had Lords of Vegas, I kind of jumped on it quite quickly, because I've been meaning to play it for a while, and I found out about it because we've just recently been to Las Vegas, and I wanted to kind of get thematic games to tie into that. I knew this existed, and then because I know Shut Up and Sit Down talk incredibly favourably about it.
They did, yeah.
And looked online, and the only place I could buy it was second hand for hundreds of pounds, and I thought, well, I can't justify that. And so I was really pleased to see it on this rental service, and the whole time we're in Vegas, just because we are that cool, we're walking around going, oh, that's a bit like Lords of Vegas. What they should do is retheme that casino and get it on the strip to get more points. We are that cool.
I did enjoy how much the game looks like the set out of it in that grid style. It looks like you're walking down the strip. And I loved how some of the tiles, it's obviously they're referring to the Luxor, or they're referring to another one of the casinos that we all know and love. So I think they did really well at pairing what you do in the game with where you are and the sort of elements of that theme in general, but also how it looks on the board was really good as well.
People criticise it for being luck based. It's a game based on Vegas. Of course there's going to be luck.
Lady Luck's got to be there, surely. Otherwise, how is it a game?
But it's not you just roll a dice and win. There's lots of ways of not just mitigating that, but also making it so every dice roll you do is useful to you. I really enjoyed it. It's a shame I had to go back, so I'd love to play it again.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
It was, yes, it was my game of the month for August.
It was. Another one we played in August, which probably vied for mine, actually, not so much for yours. I love a Viking game. We played Pax Viking with one of our friends at Games Group. The Pax games are interesting because they are quite historically correct. So when you're sort of reading some of the information and setup and stuff like that, it's actually quite interesting to see what's going on. And that was a fun game. I mean.
Yeah, I think they're slightly surprised that I joined you, because I think that the person whose game it was knows that's not my kind of thing. It's a level above really where I'm at for playing games. I like a medium heavy Euro, whereas this is heavy.
Do you think?
I think so. Yeah, it was above where my comfort zone was. So, but I managed to keep afloat.
I was the one who was afloat. I got all the ships.
You were all about the floating.
All about the floating. Well, the thing is, you had a bit more money to start with.
I did.
Lucky devil.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit poor at the beginning, I think. And you'd managed to sort of create a combo to get a friend to come and help you on your board and all sorts of things.
I did luck out quite quickly because... And, raising eyebrows of my opponents, I managed to get a really good synergy in a very early turn, which meant that I was bankrolling quite a lot of money and being able to have my pick of cards really early, but I just couldn't keep that momentum going.
Yeah, well, I didn't have any of those sort of benefits because I think you ended up with first player, and by the time it had gone around the table, I was last. So all the good stuff's gone. And the only thing that was left was you have your own ships in Pax Viking, but there is also some Irish ships and some Icelandic ships that you can go off and commandeer. So I did that with all of the boats and took all of the boats off sailing around and took control of everything so that no one could get a look in, because I was just overpowering everything with all of the boats, and it was the only tactic left to me. I quite enjoyed it.
I did kind of have a dalliance in the Mediterranean, but as the game went on, it was obvious I was kind of running out of steam and momentum and couldn't keep up with the rest of you. I think.
It was quite close though. I think we were all sort of towards the end of the game, we were all kind of like, right, if he's able to do that, then he's going to win the game, so we need to stop that. And the next player, if they can do that, then oh gosh, we need to stop them doing that. And it got to a point where we were all sort of one turn away trying to sort of stop each other. But I really liked how the cards came down the side and they got cheaper as they were lower. So you're all sort of thinking, who's going to bite the bullet and grab the good one? And then you were a bit of a money bags, so you were able to get some good cards higher up, which was interesting. But I found it sort of towards the end of the game interesting how some of the conditions for win required you to be in certain types of places, and then you were kind of like, well, that one's going to be impossible and that one's going to be impossible, and it really limited what you could do because we were all spread out on the board in different places, or things had been sort of overpowered by certain players, so there was no chance of you getting a look in on certain things, or you knew that there was a certain cards that can't come up anymore because already things have happened. So that was interesting.
I enjoyed playing it. I like the mechanics, I think, more than the theme, because it was it felt a bit like looking for a history book, and I think that's what these kind of games are aimed at.
Yes.
If it had a Awakened Realms style overhaul, I think it would be more appealing to me, or if the subject matter was slightly different. I think
there's nothing wrong with Vikings.
No, I think I would have been more engaged by it if it was
I think if it looked more modern, then you would have been all over it.
I think I'm just not the target audience for it. So I think it does exactly what it wants to do for the audience it has. I just don't feel I'm necessarily that audience, but I did enjoy playing.
No, I'd like to play it again. I had a great time with that one. So we also played, it's another one of the Rent, Shuffle and Roll ones that came along. We played a Reef, which was a surprise, I think.
It's a surprise in... Not a negative surprise, but it wasn't quite what we wanted it to be.
No, I think that I'd been looking at it for such a long time. The cover looks so pretty. The subject matter, like the ocean and stuff, is always something that I gravitate towards. So I'd been I think I'd overhyped it up in my head about what it was going to be like, and I did enjoy it, but I wasn't prepared for it to be similar to other games that we already have. And I think that we have got games that activate similar brain cells that I enjoy slightly more. I love the Reef pieces, but it does feel a little bit like baby's first Lego, doesn't it? And they're super fun to block on top of each other and stuff, don't get me wrong, but
if we had the choice of that game or like an Azul, I would probably pick that. And to be honest, we've got a game we called Coral Islands, which I think plays similarly, and we already have it.
But that's 2 games.
Yes.
Because Coral is a game and Islands is a game, but it's in one box of Coral Islands. Yeah. So, and that is very similar ideas, but with coloured dice, which are nice.
So I don't feel like it's different enough for us to warrant having it.
No.
That being said, if I saw it in a board game cafe and it was there, and we had a 20 minutes at the end, I'd gravitate towards it and say, should have a quick game of it, because the game itself is fun. It's good.
No, it's fun. It's just, I think I'd hyped it up in my head a little bit. When sometimes a game you don't expect to like, and then all of a sudden you do, and it's super surprising, and you kind of think more of it because you weren't expecting to like it, and then the opposite tends to be true, where you think, oh my gosh, I'm sort of chomping at the bit to get to play this one, and then you're like, oh, okay. It's just fine. I don't think we'd add it to our collection, just as you said, because we have others already. Of
the 3 we rented, it was the one I think we're least likely to play again.
Yeah, and the other one that we rented whilst we're on that train is Maracaibo, which was a great fun, and a shame that we only got to play it the once. We were in such a rush to learn it, set it up, get it played, pack for holiday, get the games all packed up and sent back, and do some other bits and bobs that we all needed to do. I was away for work before we went away as well, so it was all a bit hectic, and we would have loved to have had a couple more plays, but I did really enjoy
Maracaibo is a very, very good game. And sadly we only got to play it the once, because I would have loved to have played it again with a variation on the board, and even I would love to play the campaign. The campaign,
that's something that I'd love to
There's
start.
something fun about moving around the board and then deciding if you're going to go on a little adventure at the bottom.
I love the adventure at the bottom.
Or if you're going to go...
And you're taking your little man, you're trying to get across the bar, and I'm trying to sort of beat you to some stuff down there.
It's a good race, and you can push the game forward just by trying to get ahead, and then that cuts your opponent's options off. There's lots of fun mechanics in it. And I know it's similar to Great Western Trail, isn't it? So I haven't
played that one, actually.
So I know that's available. I know some people have that, so we could play that. But I'd just be love to play Maracaibo again. It's really good.
Yeah, and I think there are some online implementations, so we probably might try that. Now that we've learned
it'd be good to play it again.
And then we'll be in a position, if a friend does have it, if we go to a cafe or something, then we can pick it up and play it easily, because I think that's the kind of game where it's hard to play at a games cafe if you don't already know it or have someone who does.
No, you would absolutely have to know it first.
You'd run out of time before you got it.
We spent hours just getting our heads around the rules and setting it all up before we could play our first proper game. So I think that's where you wouldn't be able to pick it off the shelf at Games Cafe and just go, okay, this is what we're playing tonight.
Yeah.
But it was great.
It was fun. Yeah, we liked that one. Another one that we really liked was Santa Monica, which we've added to our collection recently because we were going there too.
So I have a real soft spot for Santa Monica, not just because obviously we've just been there and that's important for that reason. It's a lovely kind of tile placing game. Looks beautiful on the table. Really like the art of it. It's not too demanding in thought, but has those decision spaces. So it's simple to explain and simple to understand, yet there is some fun decisions to make about which tiles you're going to place, whether it's worth going for, the ones you can't quite get at yet and giving up the sand dollars to get it, whether you're going to focus on just getting that VIP to have a little jolly around and get the points from that, or if you just kind of try and get the banded, the circle points. There's lots of decisions in it for what on the surface looks a very simple game.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to build out a beach?
And
again, sometimes it can be super tough to move your VIPs or your visitors and locals and that to get them where you need them to be. So it is a nice puzzle and interesting choices between, are you focusing on sort of creating chains of things that are together that hit certain scoring goals, or are you trying to move the people on the beach to get them where you go to score that way, or some sort of combination between them? Because we played a game where we almost had barely any moving ability, and it was kind of like we're both hanging out for it, and at one point it's like, ooh, I'm just going to change tactic completely and go off on some other different way, because this isn't going well.
Then entirely dependent on getting from the food truck or the foodie to move your people around, but that's not going to necessarily be the tile you want, and I like those combinations.
Yeah.
And another occasion where we were there going, oh, that's a bit like the game, because we are just that cool. It was nice to play that because I think over the day before I just played The Thing. So it was a kind of gear shift from that to play something a lot lighter.
Yes, yeah.
So The Thing...
I didn't play The Thing because I was working.
I think you were working, yeah. So I'd gone to Games Group just on my own, and it was... Yeah, it was... So it's based on the film, but it reminds me of almost a revised, better version of Dead of Winter. And it was nice to play that with a group of people I regularly play with, and have that mechanic again. So that's a traitor mechanic within a game that I like.
Yeah, I mean, I like Nemesis. I obviously haven't played The Thing, so I might like The Thing, but as a whole, I don't gravitate towards traitor mechanisms. But I love Nemesis, so it's not like I don't enjoy them.
It was good because Nemesis depends on having 3 hours to play. To have a good game of Nemesis, you've got to devote some time to it, whereas this was much quicker and had some of those mechanics in it. I'm not going to say it's better than Nemesis, because it isn't, but it was fun to play, and we had a really interesting game where we were all, at the end of the game, infected, and the person who starts off as a thing had a blinder of a game, and I got infected relatively early into the game, sort of a third of the way through, and I was convinced that I was the first one to become infected. And I was like, well, let's try and win this then. I'm going to help out the thing, but I wasn't. Even at that point, he'd gone off and done the dirty with someone else, and his evilness was spreading amongst the board, and it felt then very cloak and daggers, where we're all trying to scupper the other one and trying to scupper without making it obvious we were doing it. But it's strange how we all had essentially the same agenda, without ever people realising that we were all the thing. So I was outed, though, so I had the fun of distributing the monsters. Now that was great fun, and building up a very cinematic finale where the helicopter's trying to get away, but there was all sort of monster chaos going on, kind of echoing the film. You don't need to see the film, of course, to enjoy the game, but it does help. It's nicely tied into that. It's a good game, and it's lovely production for that.
Yeah.
You should play it.
I will give it a try. I will. Lastly, on our list of new games for August is Swatch.
Yep. So I played Swatch with Minerva Games at UK Games Expo. I knew about it before. It was one of those ones I missed the chance to back on Kickstarter, kicked myself, and then got a chance to get a nice version at UK Games Expo. And I really enjoyed it when I was playing with it, and then bought a copy obviously then and there, and brought it home and said, you're going to enjoy this, and I think you did.
Yeah, no, I've only had the one game so far. We played it, we mentioned it in a video previously and said, oh well, maybe we'll play that tonight, and we did.
Yes.
We did what we said we were going to do. Who knew? But yeah, no, I loved it. I loved the actual swatches of colour. Like we've moved house like just over a year ago, so we've had to do a lot of decorating, so they did really remind me of going to the hardware store and getting the paint swatches and looking them up, and I love that sort of blend of colours and things going on, and I managed to win.
You did?
So yeah, all in all, liked it.
I think it's really good because there's a theory behind the way certain colours work together, and that's kind of explored in this game, and I had no idea about that sort of thing, when I'm picking colours for our house. And when I'm agreeing to colours on our house, but it's a really good game. It's a lot thinkier than people would necessarily realise, and it's just fun to choose from your, the options available to you and know what's going to work immediately and what's worth investing in for future turns. So it's a good quick half-hour game you can get to the table quickly.
And it's a small box, so if you are going off travelling or something, but you're going to have an okay sized table when you're there. I mean, it doesn't take up a lot of space, but it's more than an aeroplane table. Then nice small box for travel and fun little game to play. Yeah. So that was good.
It's good.
Yeah, we also managed to play Tides on Venice Beach.
Yes,
that was fun.
You might have seen in the previous video we did the games you can pack in a miniature tiny bag to take on holiday, and we were quite successful with that. We got through a lot of the games.
Quite a lot of those. I mean, it did help that our cruise ship didn't go where it was meant to go because there was a hurricane for it to avoid.
Quite literally. And in fact, you can see us playing Sprawlopolis, and in the footage you can see the kind of listing of the boat and the waves behind, adding some drama and excitement to the game.
I think we also did Arcana in those conditions. Yeah, and Trails. We played quite a few games of those that were in there at that time because if you can't go out in the sunshine, then
sit down and play some games with some drinks. It was nice to play Santa Monica when we just got back from Santa Monica. Our copy of Tides is now full of sand, but I think that just adds to the kind of the atmosphere of it all. And so it was nice to play those games. I'm pleased we took them with us. Yes, obviously it's much nicer than. Not that there's anything particularly wrong with playing board games on apps and on BGA and digital versions of them, but sometimes, nice to sit down, play them on a table and play. And, it got some interest in people around us because obviously when you can't go outside in the hail and the rain and the horizontal winds, you are stuck inside. And you see people playing cards, but a few people would looking over and going, oh, what's that about? Yeah. And maybe I like to think that they maybe explored a bit more that board games have changed since the days of Monopoly and Cluedo. They probably didn't. They probably was like, well, those geeks. But let's pretend they didn't.
Anyway, so September.
September.
What have we played in September? Again, we were on holiday for the majority of it, so it has been a few less than usual. Only 10 new to us.
Okay, so it's 18 new in the last 2 months.
Yeah, which is often we're in that sort of 16,
we normally do that
kind
for
of
a month.
So we got sent a couple of games from AEG for us to have a little look at. Thank you very much to them. One of which was Point Salad, which is a fun card game.
Yep, it's good. It's good, and we won't say too much about this because a review will be coming your way soon. But 2 minutes to explain. It's one of those games. I'm going to sound like a cliche. I'm going to say 2 minutes to learn, a lifetime to master. I've said it now. It's fun. It's good. I think what's fun about it is the card counting and knowing the chances of something coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I fell into the trap of waiting for. It might have been a cabbage.
It was a cabbage.
The
classic cabbage wait.
I knew it was a cabbage or an onion because of the colour. And I was waiting to get loads of points and I hadn't really paid attention to what you had. And then it turns out that you had them all already.
I was fully aware of this.
I was well set up to... I wasn't on top form that day.
No.
It turns out.
What's fun is if you do invest in the points scoring options and it's not paying off, you can just flip those over to become...
Yeah, I really like that element. Yeah, it just becomes a vegetable.
Yeah, you could just use it for your point scoring, or if you are, ended up gambling on a card that you hope will pay off but it's not, and you end up with minus scores, boom, it becomes a carrot.
Yeah, or if you get forced to pick up things, it's going to give you loads of minus points. Then
vegify it.
Veg it. But we'll talk about that one more later. But that's a fun game. Yeah, for sure. We played Welcome to Las Vegas. We played it in the latter end of the holiday. So
isn't it just like Vegas? Isn't it? Well, when you're walking around Vegas and you go, oh, this is just like the game because we are just that cool.
Yeah, we're making us sound super cool. For us, I like that as a sort of a slight. I suppose it's a flip and write. Rather than a roll and write. But I like that it has more stuff going on. I love that you can put a show on.
Yeah. It says in the back of the box to not play it if you haven't played Welcome To. We kind of ignored that.
I'd like to. I skipped to the one with the theme that I wanted.
But to be honest, I think it's the right kind of level of complexity for us. I think it's those decisions. We've played quite a lot of roll and writes or flip and writes now. So I think in many ways, Welcome To might be a little bit lighter than we'd like. So I think this is the sweet spot really. And I'm really enjoying, driving the limo around.
Exactly. Yeah.
The one thing I don't like is you fold the corner over. About whether you think everyone should buy money.
The borrowing, yes.
Okay. I don't think it needs that because it feels slightly like you could have a really good game and then the rug gets pulled out from underneath you at the end of it because...
You might change your mind about that the more we play. You might then want that extra level of intrigue going on. So we'll see how we feel about that. But
at the moment,
it's a good game.
I'm enjoying it a lot.
One that we also really enjoyed, the Rocketeer.
Yes.
We managed to pick that up whilst we were out there because we can't get it here in the UK, unfortunately. But lovely friend Eric from the Foster the Meeple Discord channel.
He got it for us.
Sorted us out.
So we were frustrated because we went hoping to find it in shops in Target, and we couldn't. And we understood it's never going to come to the UK. A lot of these Disney licenses don't. So we didn't really want to pay a lot for importing it. I had hoped we'd just pick it up off the shelf. And it's not really readily available. So it was fantastic.
Sold out.
Yeah, it's fantastic someone put it, made it available for us. I'm not going to say exactly why it's significant and kind of emotionally important to us because I do pick it for my game of the month for September.
You have, yes. So you'll talk about more of that then.
If you want to find out why it's significant, have a watch of that video.
Well, but I will say that if you like that kind of villainous kind of play, we play Villainous at 2 quite a lot, and this is a 2-player game. And they're not exactly the same in terms of mechanisms and things like that, but you are moving between different areas and filling objectives and that, so there are some similarities to be had. So if that's a style of game that you enjoy, then this one might be one to sort of look a little bit deeper into. I
was very pleasantly surprised by it. I wanted to get it regardless of whether it was a good game or not. The fact it is a good game was the cherry on the cake.
Yeah, I enjoyed it and I really had a great time playing it and would like to play it again. So
excellent.
Yeah, that was good. We also have played Bullet Heart, which again we'll talk about some more in some future content.
Heading your way very, very soon. And... yeah, again, I knew about this game because they contacted us after seeing a video I did on board games that video game players would like. Because they knew my background in playing video games and writing about video games prior to playing this game. And it's based on bullet hell shooters. People speak very highly of it, but I didn't really know about it. And very few people, it seems, does. So it's good to tell more people about this fun game, and really good if you want a game that works well at multiple player counts, but also a potential solo game.
Yeah, it's interesting that you've got the solo, you've got a cooperative way of playing as well, and obviously we've played it one-on-one,
a duel,
but more of a higher player counts as well, so it has got some flexibility there. I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it from your first descriptions, but actually it had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and it has got that sort of puzzle mechanism going on as well, with how to move bullets around to your advantage.
I think if it didn't have the theme it had and the kind of video game aesthetics, people would just call it a puzzle game, a puzzle duel, and I think it could be marketed and rebranded as such. But I really love the art and the style of it.
Yeah, I think they add a lot to it. And
so, but yeah, find out more in a future video.
Yes. We played Maraposis, another sort of puzzle.
Another puzzle game.
But we're like, love the butterflies.
I'll be honest, I got it because of Elizabeth Hargrave. That's why it's been on my radar. I knew vaguely about it.
When it first came out, a lot of people were talking about it. It was sort of high up on the agenda, but for one reason or other, it didn't happen at that point in time.
And I saw the opportunity to get it very, very cheap. Actually, from our a website we use quite a lot called Geekyzone, which we'd heartily recommend. And in fact, if you do end up shopping on Geekyzone, there's a discount code in the description. So use that and you'll find your purchase become a little bit cheaper. But they had it on there and like a crazy cheap price. So it was enough for me to go, let's just get that and take the plunge.
Who doesn't like a big sale?
And it's good. Yeah, I didn't anticipate it being a kind of race game.
No, it's quite tactical. And in some ways it's a little bit lucky because you're sort of picking up a movement cards and you're restricted to the 2 that you have in your hand as to what movement you're going to have. And I'd gotten to the point where my butterfly was one too far away from going back home to Mexico.
If you ever play that, it's getting that point right when you turn back and head back down south.
Yeah.
Getting that, almost exactly, almost a turn late, a play late can devastate your score.
Yeah. Or some of them you're going to choose to be sort of the sacrificial lambs, and then you want to look at what other scoring options you have and whether you can get those there without jeopardising using your movement up on that and not then getting the other ones home. So when it changes and you're into that last phase, there's so many decisions to be made, and then so many times when you're thinking, I shouldn't have gone for those points that I wanted earlier because now I can't do. You
can't get the big money points at the end. Yeah. I think like Tussie Mussy, like Wingspan, this game ties the theme so neatly into the gameplay.
Yeah.
That it seems like you can't have one with the other. And that's what I think Elizabeth Hargrave does incredibly well. That you're going to lose butterflies on the journey because you lose in real life. Not everyone's going to survive this. You have generational things, and that's in the game, and it's a mechanic that makes sense and has a logic to it. And I think that's really great to have. And it's simple to explain again, but a lot to it.
Yeah. And I think each time, because you're going to have different movement cards, obviously you're going to have different scoring for each of the sort of seasons or generations sort of thing. It's going to feel different because you're going to be trying to get to different places because of the scoring or not. And I think it will be interesting to play at different player counts to see how going to some of the different towns to try and do the set collection works a little bit better, because that's not great at 2.
No.
I unveiled quite a lot of towns and still it wasn't enough to be able to do a set collection, whereas I think if there's more of you,
it removes that luck.
Yeah.
Because then you'll be more focused on, okay, I know that's there, and there, so if I can plan a route that goes to those, then great. Then
that would work. But I really enjoyed that, and it's one that I think that we will definitely play again. Another one that I know we're going to definitely play again is Marvel Dice Throne.
Yes. So you've plucked this kind of almost randomly, I suppose, or impulsively.
It was yet another impulsive sale buy from one of our friendly local game stores. And it's one that I'd been looking at for a while, and they had a good sale and I just couldn't resist. I think you'd been trying to restrain me because you just thought, much like the unmatched theory, once you open the Dice Throne can, where does it stop?
It's going to start as Dice Throne, end up as Dice Throne, where we have every single character somewhere on these shelves.
I don't know what you're saying about my board game buying habits.
But I really enjoyed it. It's quick to play, it's furious, it's fun, it's tactical, and we have barely even started on this. We played the simplest characters just to get a feel for the game. I always find a good indication of whether I enjoy a game is whether I finish it and just immediately want to play again. Yeah,
and I want to have played all of the characters already, and unfortunately we haven't yet, so yeah.
Don't be surprised if these shelves start getting full of Dice Throne.
It's a lot of fun. We played My Shelfie. We played it on BGA. Most of these other ones have been for real life.
Yeah.
But
people have started talking about My Shelfie. I think it's going to be quite prominent at Essen, perhaps. I hadn't really heard about it until it had appeared on BGA. And I think that may well be the better way of playing it, because it just seems a bit of a pig to set up. with having to lay out all the tiles, and then there's some reset of the tiles.
But I like the whole Connect 4 thing and dropping it in. I think that makes it a lot more fun. Visually, I feel like the artwork could be more appealing for me. I like the concept of it, but I kind of want board game covers, and I want them to be in different themes to match or something like that. It'd just be all board gamey, rather than, I don't know.
You like to play real life My Shelfie by shuffling our board games around and working out the optimal way of setting them up without needing to have challenge cards saying you want to have a blue in each corner. So I think it naturally was just a game version of what he likes to do in his spare time. And I think right. If it had almost parody board games on the tiles, I would have instantly have loved it. Whereas I was less excited about placing a cat next to a lamp.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, it's a fun, if you're into puzzly games, like, it's an interesting puzzle. I like the way that you have to select the items for the shelves and how you can then slot them in the different order and things. So I like the concept of it, but yeah, I just felt like
it was fine. It's good. There's other kind of games that do similar things that I prefer to it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see it actually in the flesh. Or in the cardboard.
I think maybe it does. Slotting things in would be cool.
That would be quite cool. Yeah, rather than on BGA. But so we'll reserve judgment for that one. One that I really enjoyed, which is sort of another sort of puzzly kind of idea, is Planet Unknown. I think that's my favourite game for September.
It is. Yeah. So we got to play that with Billy and Diana.
Yeah, it was an amazing day there
at BG's. Tabletop games and more in Los Angeles, and Dustin and his wife and Billy and his wife got to meet us there, and it's lovely to meet someone and that we spoke to quite a lot online. Sit down and actually play a game with them in person was absolutely lovely. And the game is good.
I really enjoyed it, and it's nice to be able to play a game of a 6-player count for sure. And I really love that you get like a lazy Susan kind of idea. And depending on who's the sort of first player picking, whatever you're then left in front of, you get to pick one which is sort of a slightly bigger tile, and then there's a smaller tile and the sort of inner edge, and you've got to choose between those as to what you're going to place. And it's an interesting choice because they've got different terrain types on them, they're different shapes which you've got to try and fit onto your board, but depending on the terrain types depends on what you're going to get bonuses for, what you're going to be able to move up your tracks on, and what that's going to allow you to do or get you to score. So it's an interesting choice there between, do you kind of get something that doesn't really fit well on your board, or do you just not really care and then just hope you'll be able to resolve that later and just get up on the tracks to be able to get another benefit or to get more points and that sort of thing.
I quite enjoyed driving the rover around.
Yeah, you just I drove around the place.
I thought I'd clear up some, meteorites that have placked into the planet. Just get as many rovers on the board and just move those around. I didn't win, so it's not a good tactic. But yeah, the idea of when you're playing with two, I know it's slightly different, and then you can see what tiles are coming up. But when you're playing with a bigger group, and we were obviously playing with 6, the idea of, please don't take that card, I desperately need exactly that. Oh, you've taken it. Or worse still, you've taken the one next to it, and I haven't got access to it because my neighbour does. I've only got access to ones that's directly in front of me. That was even more frustrating. And you're saying, you don't even need that one. It was lots of fun.
Yeah, I had a great time with the game and with the sort of social night. So the whole play, all in all, was fantastic. And another game that we played that same day with Billy and his wife, but before Dustin was able to join us, was Trekking Through History.
Yes.
Which was also fun. And I don't know, I hadn't looked too much into it before because I think it was on crowdfunding a while back.
Yes.
Because we have Trekking the World.
Yes, that's why I was aware of it.
But I hadn't looked into sort of like the gameplay and everything of it. So I think I was quite surprised because it's like quite different.
Yeah, the reason I didn't back it, I was tempted to because we really enjoy Trekking the World, and I think the production for that is really good. The reason I didn't was because I was concerned it'd be too similar. And I thought, well, we've got Trekking the World, do we need a history version of that? and we played it, and I kind of regretted not having backed it because it's a really lovely production. Plays so differently.
Looks gorgeous. I mean, the artwork, you can tell is they're sort of from the same family of games.
Yes.
And that looks equally beautiful as the other one. And I thought the production was quite nice with the trays, with the components and things like that.
But it's a nice level of, almost pushing your luck. Do you crack a card? Do you grab the one you need that's going to help you with the resources you need, but it's going to then become a massive headache because you have to place things sequentially on your player space, and then or alternatively take a big leap in time and then cast that aside and move on to a new era.
Yeah, that's
when it works.
Leaping in time quandary of, actually, do I want to do this because it's going to punish me because I'm going to not get a turn for ages, was interesting. And much like these sort of ratchet games that you see, like Takedo and stuff, yes, I can run forward and go and get the money, which I know that I'm going to need, but everyone else is then getting all those extra turns,
loads more turns
to be able to do other things with it. It was that similar sort of thought concept that you get there that was interesting, and much in the way of sort of trekking the world, where you're kind of thinking, right, I just need some sea, and then I can go and get this thing and everything will be good, and the sea just doesn't come up.
Yeah.
Is, I suppose, the same amount of luck that you're getting in this, in terms of, is the year that that's gonna be helpful for you, and you're not kind of leaping ahead too much. But you can close your timeline and then start again, and which I think is quite good.
People are often critical of games that have luck in them. I'm only frustrated by that when you're the only one affected by the luck, and when everyone else is having to deal with the same draws, then it feels like, well, that's the game, that's the challenge of it. And
game on game, one game's going to suit you and another might not.
I'll be keen to play it again, and if and when it comes to retail, finding out how good a version we can get, because I very much enjoyed it, and I like it again.
It was nice. Nice components as well.
And a similar weight, I think, to Trek in the World.
Yeah.
So not necessarily an introduction game, but
I don't know. I think
it's more of a follow-on game. I think you introduce maybe. It could be for people who want to devote a bit of time to learning a game, who aren't going to get.
But it's not heavy in any.
No, it's not a heavy game, but
it was fun. Yeah, I liked that. And lastly, we have briefly mentioned it already, Trails, which I think I've sort of said before is kind of like a baby version, mini parks,
like
which I got,
tiny epic parks.
And I got that because I knew that we would be going through some of the national parks whilst we were on our trip, and we did, so that was good. And the components again for this one, brilliant. The artwork, lovely, and comparable, I think, to parks.
It's made me want to play parks more. I really enjoyed Trails. And it's nice to have not the same game, not a simplified version, but a condensed version of it that you can play quickly and conveniently of a really good game. And it's just thematically nice. It looks lovely on the table, and I like how the sun sets, and your people are going backwards. It's really nice to play.
And yet again, one that's like a nice compact box, easy to travel with, but feels a little bit different in its gameplay. So that was nice. Yeah, I'm glad that we've got that one on the shelves.
Absolutely,
for sure. Yeah, so that's all of the new ones. That's all that we've played.
It's been quite a lot in the 2 months, but it has been obviously 2 months, and we've played obviously our favourite games as well on top of these. But it's nice to have quite a vast selection, really, of
variety. Yes, let's see what happens in October, because I'm off to Essen, so might get to see some new games.
You'll be playing lots of fun games while I'll be back. I'm not going to Essen, so you'll be talking a lot more about the games you've tried and played at Essen.
Hopefully I'll have some footage of that,
and you would have hopefully brought some back with you. Please do that.
Hopefully, yes.
I know it's going to happen because you've already cleared some space on the shelves, and so Yeah, just to justify. It's so fun. There's space to fill. It's fine. But do put in the comments below if we've talked about any games that you really love, or if games you should play based on the ones we've talked about. Please do add a comment. And if you've discovered us completely by accident and enjoyed us talking about these mini games, do subscribe and ring the notification bell.
Yes, and then you'll get told when our next video is up.
And join us again in October, when you'll find out, at the end of October, what we've been playing and how many spooky games we played. After all, it's the spookiest of the months.
Of the seasons. See you next time.
Thanks so much for watching.